Welcome to the Midlife Rider Project. This is a place for riders who have lived a little and learned a lot. A place for honest reflection, lived experience, and listening for the wisdom that emerges as we ride through this second season of life. I'm really glad you found your way here. When we head out to the barn, we are not going there as blank slates. We bring the day with us, for better or worse. We bring along work stress, family stuff, fatigue, and even busy thoughts that swirl around and around. Sometimes the barn is where we go to feel better. I know this is certainly true for me, but that doesn't mean that everything we're carrying just disappears the moment we walk down the barn aisle or swing a leg over our horse. Most of us don't even realize what we've brought along with us. We're just there, ready to ride, or at least we think we are. Here's something I've noticed over many years with horses. They respond to us before we ask them to do anything. Before we pick up the reins, before we give a leg cue, before there's a plan for that day's ride. They notice how we show up. They notice our energy, our breath, our tension. You can see it in the way a horse speeds up when we're tight in our bodies or inadvertently we're gripping with our legs, or how they soften and slow the moment we finally exhale a breath we've been holding. Nothing changed technically, perhaps, but everything changed. I often say that awareness is the first step toward changing something. And that's especially true here. When we become aware of what we're carrying with us into the saddle, we start to interpret the horse differently. We stop seeing reactions as attitude or resistance or something the horse is doing to us. And we begin to see these things as information. The horse isn't being difficult. They're simply responding to us as we are in that moment. Now, it's not always about this since there's a lot of factors to consider, but it's a good thing to check this first. If you spend enough time around horses, you start to see this show up everywhere in lessons, warm-up rings, at shows. You notice how a calm rider often has a calm horse, how a rushed rider can create tension without meaning to. And this is not because one rider is better than another, but because horses mirror our energies, not our plans. They respond to what's happening now, not what we intend to happen next. Here's where midlife comes in. By this stage of life, many of us have slowed down a bit. And that's not because we're less capable, but because we've learned what rushing costs. We value that steadiness now. We listen more. We're less interested in forced outcomes. And here's the part I don't think we talk about enough. This can actually become a kind of superpower. In a world that often overlooks women in midlife, that diminishes us, makes us feel invisible or disregarded, this ability to notice, to feel, to listen before doing is a real advantage with horses, and it's something we've earned. And let's be honest, riding requires us to be fully present whether we like it or not. we're sitting on an animal that outweighs us by 10 times. Being present is not some lofty ideal, it's practical, wise, safer. Even when life is a lot to handle, swinging a leg over the saddle asks us to be fully present, here and now. And often we do, very naturally, without trying. That is something worth appreciating. So maybe this shift isn't about doing more or trying harder. Maybe it's simply about listening first, noticing what we're bringing with us. Because when we listen before we do, the ride changes, the horse changes, and often so do we. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated, I hope you'll join me again next week as we continue riding through this season together. Until then, take good care of yourself and your horse.